Hello and welcome to the strange world of New Zealand cryptids. This week we have a bit of an unexpected treat with our video topic. I was searching through my extensive suggestion notes when I remembered being asked to cover anything cryptid or paranormal from New Zealand by one of my longtime fans named Richard Blackburn. He recently suggested it in a newer video, and after looking at my idea list I saw that he requested it previously as I had it written down twice now. Well, in his latest comment he said it would make his year if I did something on it, so here we are. After doing a bit of research, I found that New Zealand has quite an extensive paranormal and cryptid history. Due to there being so much information, and for the sake of time, I decided that I would devote a mini-series, similar to my Australia entries, to the topic with cryptids being for today, ghosts and spirits being next week, and haunted houses following that, and UFO encounters tying up the series. So let's delve into the mysterious world of the small landmass known as New Zealand. Going into a little bit of history, New Zealand is the prime location for the possibility for an unknown creatures being found, as it was one of the last landmasses in the world that was settled by humans. This is believed to have occurred between the mid-1200s and early 1300s by Eastern Polynesians. As such, there are many indigenous animals that are quite unique to living only on the island country, such as the kiwi. Oddly enough, more species of penguins are found in New Zealand than any other country. Not only this, but the area is known for its many breathtaking landscapes, including the Emerald Lakes located in Mount Tongariro. With a population of a little less than 5 million individuals, the area is fairly diverse, but is predominantly of European descent. However, the original tribe, known as the Maori, who originally faced being lost to history due to a bloody invasion, are still able to be found. So with all of that, let's get into the topic you clicked onto this video for: cryptids. With our very first entry, we come across a somewhat familiar creature, but at the same time is a bit unique, and that is of the Goatman. As you will soon see, what makes these reports so complicated is how, for the most part, Maori culture views cryptids and spirits a bit different than most people around the world. The Goatman is known by a few other names, such as Hoofman, Takumi, Maureen, Caress, or Waikau. On a side note, I find it very interesting when a creature is referenced so many times in the culture. It almost in a way lends credence to the being actually having some truth to it. This creature is said to stand around 7 feet tall, have dirty matted hair, and a very foul smell about it. What makes things confusing is that some describe it as having the upper half of a goat and the lower of a man, while other reports the opposite. Going one step farther, the version that has a man's torso is almost described as being a spirit rather than a flesh and blood being. Commonly, this entity is encountered in the deserts along deserted roadways just outside of town. Frequently, sightings are found around the Rotorua and Mamaku areas, but sightings have honestly came in from everywhere. The version with the goat head and torso is commonly described as being very aggressive towards anyone that crosses its path. There were reports of the Goatman jumping in front of cars, and in some instances even causing chaos at the Wairau military camp. As for the most commonly cited human version, he has garnered the nickname of the Hitchhiker and is seen as a guardian. Most tales report motorists coming across a man in a trench coat asking for a ride. After he is picked up, he will either ask to be let out only a short distance up the road, or simply vanish from the car altogether. Frequently the pungent smell is mentioned, as well as there being muddy hoof prints left on the floor of the car where the Goatman was. The purpose of the trip is to save the motorist from some sort of danger that they were about to encounter. Many say that something bad was about to happen to a person at that exact spot where the Goatman was picked up, had they not been so courteous to a hitchhiker's request for a ride. On hindsight, I have to wonder if the two versions of the Goatman are actually two separate beings entirely. However, according to the Manapoto tribe, there is tales of the two being twins, and one is more in line with being good, while the other causes destruction and death. As mentioned, the Maori view these beings as guardian spirits, known as Aketiaki, who are known to watch over forests and lakes. Moving on, we come to a more familiar broad-ranging cryptid in the form of a Sasquatch-type creature known as the Vimala Hal. Much like the previously mentioned Goatman, this too has a list of different names depending on who is referencing it. These beings are said to stand anywhere between 6.5 to 9 feet tall and look exactly like the other types of Bigfoot, other than having long fingers with extremely sharp claws. With all the similarities, there is one drastic behavioral difference in that these beings are violent and are said to have a taste for human flesh. Even though reported sightings have been mentioned from all over, it is generally accepted that they make their home in the Coromandel Ranges, as well as many of the national forests, such as the Fiordland and Nelson State Forest. The Vimala Hal are said to be very intelligent and can produce tools out of stone and wood for use in hunting and work. I am not quite sure how this is known, but it is claimed the craftsmanship is quite similar to ours of our far-reaching ancestors past. It is also generally believed that these beings bury their dead, and this is why no bodies are ever recovered. Footprints have been recovered in 1903, as well as through 1970 till the present. In 1971, a park ranger reported finding large human-like prints in the snow going into a dense brushy area on a hillside. In 1991, campers decided to move their camp when extremely large human-like prints were found in the mud around their campsite. Even though today's reports mention the creature avoiding human interaction, 2 cases in the past show how aggressive these beings could be. Allegedly. In 1882, the headless body of a prospector was found near the Martha Mine region, which is close to the Coromandel Ranges. Not long after this, the body of a woman was also recovered, and she had had her neck snapped and was partially devoured. According to reports, she had been drugged from her homestead while she was alone and killed in the brush. With so many historical and recent reports, it makes for a strong case that something ape-like might be living in New Zealand. Trailing up our list, we delve into the seas surrounding New Zealand, where a creature resembling a mosasaur is said to make its home. For years, New Zealand has been the location with the most sightings of mosasaur-type creatures than any other place in the world. These reports branch back from 1889 up until present day. Not to mention that this is the same area where the Japanese fishing boat named Zoe Mar brought up an interesting looking carcass back on April 27, 1977. The body was later said to have been that of a basking shark, but sightings make for an interesting counterpoint. Frequently, the creatures that are witnessed are massive in size, ranging from 13 to 30 feet. Look like a lizard, and all reports state the head has sharp teeth and resembles a crocodile. What makes the reports more interesting is the fact that many state they originally assumed the creature was a massive eel, which is customarily the answer scientists give when dealing with these reports, but then the witnesses mention the creature having flipper-like fins. In 1990, 2 women reported seeing a giant green mosasaur-like lizard swimming in the shallows of a lagoon near Taupo. While watching it, they claimed it lunged out of the water in an attempt to capture a bird flying too closely. After failing to catch its prey, it returned to the depths and wasn't seen again. In 2001, 5 boys were out boogie boarding in the Paikakariki when they all claimed to have had a similar-looking creature explode out of the water in front of them. All of them described the beast looking like a mosasaur. In 2006, a man named Ivan Levy stated that while on his boat, he soon became under attack by 2 lizards with fins. The pair repeatedly circled Ivan's boat and rammed it for over an hour until they gave up and left the man alone. When Mr. Levy returned to shore, his boat was destroyed. Many believed he caused the damage himself for insurance fraud, but it later came out the craft was uninsured. With so many reported sightings of the same type of creature, many paleontologists are driven to believe that there is in fact a small breeding population of mosasaur-type creatures off the waters of New Zealand. There are many claims that many sightings go unreported, or those that are brought to light are quickly covered up. I would like to mention, to make this entry complete, there are a few cryptids that were a bit less fantastic, but deserve to be talked about, and that is the giant moa and the Witterik. The moa was a large ostrich-looking bird that stood about 12 feet tall and weighed around 510 pounds. The birds became extinct due to overhunting around the 13 or 1400s. People believe that they do still exist in small hidden pockets, but all reports are yet to be verified. The Waiteriki is said to be an otter, even though there is no such creatures thought to exist in New Zealand. They are a little smaller than normal otters, but everything else is the same. Oddly enough, similar webbed tracks have been found on riverbanks, and it was described in great detail by Captain Cook in 1773. So who knows? As mentioned previously, I wanted to include these two, but there isn't much interesting information to report. So this ends our entry into a few of the cryptids of New Zealand. Be sure to be on the lookout for our second part involving the various ghosts and spirits said to reside on the island. Just a few days ago, we lost a voice in the paranormal world with the passing of Art Bell. For those of you unaware, Art was at one time the host of the Coast to Coast AM radio show. It is now done by George Norrie, but the program revolves around all the topics that my channel covers. While some of the programming was produced for fun, it was a valuable resource. I almost changed the video topic to making something on him, and may still do that, but for the moment I want to dedicate this video to the passing of Mr. Bell. As mentioned in my previous video, I recently partnered up with a clothing company known as Into the AM. They sell all kinds of items, and what I greatly appreciate was seeing how many of their products were devoted to paranormal and UFO genres, which is rare to find. As you see in the images here, they sent me a hoodie and I absolutely love it. As a special treat, they also gave me a code to pass on to you to save 10% off any purchase you make with them. At the checkout, in the gift card and discount box, simply type in Icewolf Videos, no spaces, and hit apply. If you haven't yet done so, do please consider subscribing to my channel for more content similar to this, and also I'd greatly appreciate it if you could share my channel with someone you may think might be interested in this type of content. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.